Hi, it's Donna Carlson, and I'm welcoming you to the Crazy as Usual podcast. Today's guest is Lynn Young, one of my um, the contributors to my vision when I started to write the book, like for the 15th time, because Lynn also wrote a book, Red Hot Living. It doesn't show up on the camera, but you can see her background there. I love my copy. It's all written up and dog-eared, and I asked Lynn to write the forward to my book because when I went to her book launch, Lynn, you just speak with this effervescence of heart, and you actually use that word, sparkling lemonade. I think is how you described me, which is. And Lynn, tell us a little bit about yourself and what inspired you to write Red Hot Living, and then we're going to get a little bit more into some of your other monkeys.
Yeah, yeah. So as a woman who's lived a bunch of years, and so there's my own life experience, and then I'm a coach. I'm a executive coach, and yeah, I had this urge, honestly, Donna, for at least 10 years as I look back there's a book in me, the point being able to share much of what I share in one-to-one coaching relationships with humans that liberate people.
Yeah.
So more of that could be out there in the world. That was my dream and my goal. But it was like over 10 years ago that I had it, and it didn't actually come out until last year. So there's a play in there between us, having an idea and then making it real, which is
Right.
probably in the land of the monkeys also. Um, but yeah, I wanted people to have more joy, less pain, be more liberated, be more free to be exactly who they are, living lives of joy and purpose, which I believe is what serves the world. So more of that in the world.
Well, it makes sense that everyone kind of would want some joy and purpose in their life, but not all of us know how to access it.
Right.
You had some adventures. Your book is so full of some fun stories, and you lived abroad for a period of time, um, and that wasn't easy,
Yeah.
but it turned out to be beautiful, right?
Right. It is, I believe that life is in the adventuring. Life is in the going for it and then seeing what happens. Life isn't in the it working out perfectly. It never does, for anybody, for any human that I've ever met. But there is a risk uh, and tied to action
Yeah.
that is really important to be what I call red hot living, which is to, be living fully, lively, passionately. And yeah, and I had done some of that in my own life, and I wanted to offer that to other people so that there could be more of that risking, honestly. The best
Right.
kind of risking.
Yeah, the kind of risking that you need to practice in order to live that red hot life. And my whole practice has been centered around living fully alive. 360 is the word that I used with my coaching practice, to fully alive, heart, soul, mind, and strength. And that's exactly the way you live. That's why I'm so drawn to you, and you have this energy that I just love to be around.
Well, it's very mutual, Donna. You know that.
I know, you're so sweet. And I yeah, remember that first time that we sat on your couch, the red couch,
The big
drinking tea.
red couch. Yeah.
I love the way that you also live um your red hot living in your wardrobe. I'm kind of the same way. I like to wear kind of fun, colorful things. You always have on the best clothes and the best shoes. That's how you know the
Sometimes I
quality
do
of a.
this. I'm going to do it. Why not? There they are.
Yes. Oh yeah, look at those boots. Yeah.
So
See, attitude, attitude.
here's the thing about that though that I want to name in this call because it's not about red.
Right.
It is about what we love and permission to let that be free and out and shown to the world and in play, whatever that is. Like one of my dear friends, she loves black and white and gray, and she just like rocks it like super fully. So I just want to make sure that it's about expression And the expression is like an inside out job. Every
Exactly.
single one of us like snowflakes, right?
Uh-huh.
So you with your fabulous, whatever, fuchsia, lavender-esque shirt, me with the red and the teal, it's that. But it's
Exactly.
funny because sometimes clothes are like seen as, oh, trite or not mattering or
Mm,
too much prestige attached to them, whatever the whatever. I actually am
yeah.
not interested in those kinds of things. I am interested in um, every single thing we do, I believe this, has the opportunity to express ourselves more fully, in our voice, in our language, in what we put on, in how we are in our body, in our connections with other humans, in our bold risks, all of that. And so it's all actually tied to authentic living. So
Right.
there's nothing small about that, honestly. It's not like the
True.
books themselves matter, but us using every tool available to us in a way that feels authentic, right, and kind of fun, that matters.
Huh? There's a moment in my book when Liv, the character who's much inspired by your effervescence, um, shows up in a very colorful outfit.
Hmm.
And and Jane, the other gal in the book, asks her, you look very bright today. Tell me about this outfit. And she goes, well, I just needed to wear my feelings today. Do you ever
Mhm.
feel like you wake up and you put on bright colors because you are making a declaration that it's going to be a great day, even if you don't
Oh,
feel it?
yeah. Yeah. It it is I it is aligned with what I'm up to in the day. And I actually let the person or the persons that I'm with in the day be kind of my muses. So
Uh-huh.
that makes it fun. Like there's not just like five great outfits. There's like, oh, there's me and I'm connecting with this person. Then I think about them and then I tie that. It's just kind of fun that way. And the whole thing is like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But the two things I want to point to is one is there is sometimes I get up and I'm like, yeah, whatever, and just sort of put on something and it's like that'll be okay. But the truth is it's not okay. Do you
Yeah.
know if I lowball it or I whatever and I can feel the disconnect. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's worth it for me to like go back upstairs and take the 5 more minutes and just like seriously land it. Like, okay,
Right.
here I am. And we experience ourselves inside of our clothes from the inside out also.
Yeah.
Again, I'm making this all about clothes. Clothes are just an example, but it's
Yeah.
it's a powerful one. And the other thing I wanted to point to, Donna, like when Jane and Leaf comes in and it's like, hello, there is an energetic wake up that happens, like you just described in your book. And our energy being alive, that's a piece of it, right? And so
Right.
when we experience the I'll have what she's having, those are important breadcrumbs or data points, or like, oh, something real is happening inside of me. It would be really good for me to pay attention to it. You know,
Yeah.
you know what that's like when you experience it. I absolutely know what it's like when I experience it. And it's usually pointing at something about myself that I
Mhm.
would like to invite into my life more fully.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so true. And you just stoked something in my thinking about being prepared when I leave the house and go encounter people, or if I'm going to be on a call, to just be be prepared for them, not just to be there, but to be there, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
like to like let everything serve. And the other thing I want to tie to this podcast and what you're up to is sometimes in the professional arena, we have sort of made up rules about what is professional or what it should look like or what it should
Thank you.
sound like or so in the land of clothing, there's a dumbing it down or a sort of a taming it so that honestly, sometimes it has so much similarity that it's almost like a dead space.
Mhm.
And so that's where the risk comes in which I mentioned earlier, that like that permission to be who you are and love what you love, which is a core tenet of Red Hot Living, like really
Uh-huh.
love what you love, and then marry that to the professional space, knowing that there's way more range over there
Yeah.
than you've given yourself room for. The,
Oh, yeah.
the same for how we speak and our enthusiasm, or in the case of women, and not just women, but tears and the flow of our soul when it's really being tapped, and what that
Yeah.
means, and like what there's room for. And I'm a huge stand for all of that belongs. All
Mm,
of that is part of you enthusiastically meeting the moment, so that if
right.
your eyes tear up, something's happening, something's flowing in your soul. It's not a bad thing, it's a good thing. I actually, one of my pet peeves that I'd sort of like to change in our culture, I'll do it right here on your podcast, is, when people start to tear up and they say, sorry, it's like not necessary.
No,
We do
no.
not need to say we're sorry or apologize for having our body responding to what is
I
real.
know. Thank you for being real. Yeah. You know, when you wrote your book, kind of like with mine, and you put a lot of it out there. You told a lot of stories. You exposed yourself. Did you feel like that exposed you in the professional world in an uncomfortable way, or are you just being authentic to what you just said about that red hot presence in life?
Oh, I think a little bit of both, if I'm going to be honestly real, which I believe in. It is again that risk. Like, in my case, in my book, I I chose to tell certain stories because they were all tied to how our mindset matters, right? And they were all tied to a mindset that made all the difference. And you could
Yeah.
just see it happening in real time in my own life. And so I wanted to name that.
Yeah.
Um, and I believe in joy in a big way, and I believe joy
Yes.
can be found in the most well, joy, we can access joy anywhere at all time. That's actually what my book is about. It doesn't mean like life is la la and it's
Right.
rainbows. It's like, actually, that's not been my life. Um, so for instance, when I wrote about finding joy in the emergency room with my husband and his body, quite literally, which I did, of course, um, share with him beforehand, like, honey, I'm thinking of writing this, and I
Is
want
that
you to,
okay?
it's like, absolutely. Um, there is a level of vulnerability and intimacy to that. And for me to write a book where I am moving quickly always to the joy finding, I knew there was a vulnerability in some people saying, well, where's the depth here? You know what I mean? Like, because I wasn't choosing
Yeah.
to go in one moment, like very, very deeply. There was a choice that, like a writing choice I made. So it's like, yeah, lots of vulnerability in terms of how I would be seen or understood in the professional space.
Wow.
And yet the risk, it was worth doing. Like, I wanted this for other people. Therefore, whatever I'm a little bit afraid of, that needs to not be, it's not the issue or the point.
I see that in your life that you coach with the vulnerability because you want to bring out
Yeah.
that effervescent, that red hot living in other people.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
trends do you see, especially in coaching, executive women?
Mhm.
That's kind of the focus of the book, and most of our readers are women, and most of the podcast listeners are women driving
Yeah.
to work right now.
Right.
So, yeah, um, what are you seeing in terms of, trends that, that women portray when they come to you for coaching and they're trying to unlock things? Are there any, like, nuggets that we can hold on to
Mhm.
as just women navigating our own life
Yeah. Yeah.
without
Um,
betraying any confidence?
oh, of course, of course. So this unlocking joy, or I've already pointed it a little bit, like that permission to be who you are and to bring what you love. And a lot of times this is men and women professionally. we
Yeah.
will we will leave some of the best parts of ourselves at home because we've decided they're unprofessional. And the truth, in my belief system, is the truth is, oh, oh, your professional life will benefit from you and all the people that you're working with and everything that
Yeah.
you're up to. The
Yeah.
mission actually benefits from you bringing it all in. And I don't mean doing that in a way without boundaries. And I don't mean like, I just come in and I spew out every single thing of my home life. Although I do believe, like you, like lives are whole, and we are, our mind, our body, our spirit, our what we're up to in the professional arena. But that is actually tied to ourselves as mothers, partners,
Mhm.
humans, people navigating real life. And so permission to bring more of that in, that's part one. Trusting that your organization can hold it. And it's not an excuse, and it's not like, yeah, my life's falling apart, therefore I'm not going to be able to show up in my job. It's not that, it's more real. Um, Simultaneously, permission to bring in, oh, I'm that girl at the party who's like that. Like, bring her into the
Yes.
life of the professional
Yeah.
party, the energy, the curiosity, like the childlike wonder, like the way that we rolled when we were 3.
Yeah.
All of it belongs in the workplace. So it's there is also a tip for us all around. I'm doing this is a knob kind of.
Well,
It's
that's
like
true.
knowing that we can dial ourselves up and down.
Mhm.
And dialing up is a good thing. It's like amplifying, it's like noticing, and really bringing more of who you are to the moment,
Yeah.
energetically. Even, you mentioned spiritual, and even spiritually, like we all know, we are all have a different, faith or belief system, or none at all, and none, all of that is like welcome in the alignment of the human being showing up. But bringing that all, not in a proselytizing way, but in a, I'm allowing myself to experience this moment fully, and maybe be or bring the love that might be true for me from my faith tradition. I'm going to bring that, so
Right.
I guess that's a very long-winded answer to, we have way more range of like the fullness of the human experience than we're often bringing into the workplace.
Right. And
And
the focus of the book and all of our Fridays at 5 is how to um raise the conversation about mental wellness at work. And you're giving us permission to be who we are. How would you advise someone to use that dial? I love that metaphor to be authentic about what's going on here or in life,
Mhm.
but also um, put boundaries around it so we can get work done at work.
Yeah,
What's the way to navigate that?
yeah. Um, I mentioned mindset earlier, and we have our own like ability internally to, and this is a growing thing for us as humans, in a lifetime of experience, realizing that we can shift ourselves and our mindset at any moment into something that will serve. So that's our like our inner dial, and it's actually
Yeah.
super powerful. You write about that in your book. Um, I believe that we benefit from allowing what is real to be seen,
Mm,
allowing what is real to be named,
yeah.
allowing what is real to, we don't have to judge it, and
Yeah.
we absolutely don't need to make ourselves wrong. But if we pretend that it's not there, we're probably gonna, it will bite us differently in some other, in some other form. And
Exactly.
so it may be even that coaching skill, which Donna, of, there's one called clearing, which is simply like, um, you with yourself. We can
Right.
do it internally, like, wow, this is right now. I'm going to give myself 30 seconds to like really notice it and feel it and be with it. Take a deep breath, root with my whatever higher power, whatever that is for me, and then return. We can do that in an internal way that's very powerful. We can also do it in one-to-one with our supervisor or manager or
Mhm.
colleague. Say, there's something I want to share with you because it's right here with me right now. It is this, it's X, Y, and Z. I just wanted to name it. I don't need you to fix it. I am now having, in this awareness of the sharing, I can return to this thing that we are, here in this meeting for, or whatever
Uh-huh.
that. It's very, very powerful. But again, it's that knowing that you have you, it doesn't have you. So when the monkeys have you, it doesn't work. When
Right.
you know that there is something real and you might want to call it a monkey, um, when you name it, it sort of tames it. I believe this is
Yes.
me trying to speak your language here, Donna.
That's exactly it. Yeah. And when you call it out loud,
Yeah,
it loses its power over you. And it's not about somebody solving the problem. It's just about naming it out loud so that it's out there.
yeah, and being
And
with each other in real time, up to really good, things that we're doing in our professional lives.
right,
And
right.
if you're in an organization where it doesn't feel like you're doing really good things with your professional life, I encourage you to seek out a coach like Donna and maybe see making a change over there.
Right. Right. Well, it is, I appreciate that. Um, and I know that you have made a lot of impact in the world because of the way that you're able to bring people into presence that way. And you're kind of my muse in that regard. Um, I wonder, what are some of the other uh, monkeys in your stage of life right
Mm,
now
Love,
that
love this question. It's so good. That is a huge question. That is a more than a 30-minute podcast question. Um, So good. The two things leapt in. One is, and these aren't as much monkeys as they are just realities. And we have to be careful, like with what we call how much energy we give something that we call a reality. But for instance, for women of a certain age, as am I, 69, there's this whole thing about, oh, it should look like that, and dressing back to dressing again. It's like the
Mhm.
oh, whatever. And I see that shrinkage for women, and it just drives me absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
Me. So that noticing the shrinkage, or noticing even the change in my body. Yes, my body is changing, and yes, I need to put more warm around the middle of me than I did 5 years ago. That's just real. That's just like a real change. Um, so coming back to the dancing with everything, like it's not really a monkey, but not expecting life to stay the same, obviously.
Yeah.
Like really, oh great, I landed it, or now I look like I always wanted, or what, it's like none of that is just none of that is real. And so
Right.
um one monkey for some women that I observe is like, I should start to tone it down. I actually think you should start to amplify it.
Mhm. Turn it up.
Tone down versus turn up. Yeah, that's a good pairing. I've never used those phrases before, Donna. It's a good one. The other is, these aren't monkeys, but how I retain who I am as a woman. This is true for every woman at every stage of life. But I'm going to just name it for mine. When there are, it has a little bit of juggler energy, which can feel monkey-esque.
Uh-huh.
Like, oh, me, the wife, me, the mother, me, the grandmother, me, even the child of the parents who are transitioning,
Mm.
me, the person who's deciding what's next in my career. Like, does it come to a hard stop and that's the end and we call it retirement, and then I just shrink away, and I actually am much more interested in the word refirement, which ties
Oh,
to the amplify. I can't take
love
credit.
that.
I can just share it. So yeah, like the monkeys come in about culturally what women of this age do or should do, or how they should be. So kind of like notice them when they leap in, but I would wager a guess that they're mostly wrong.
A friend of mine told me that after going through a very difficult, tumultuous divorce, the monkeys that she battled with on a regular basis were trying to tell her that she's doing something wrong. And she said, almost always the first thought in my head is wrong.
Yeah.
So I challenge everything that pops in my head. And I think we forget to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other piece is we are in our velvet lined ruts of thinking we know, and this is what it is. And it's like
Right.
rarely is that the whole story, but it's a very familiar story. So we, sort of to kind of realize that there's not just this way or this feeling. There's this other way. And it's like, and that's progress for many people to go from not just one right way to another way.
Uh-huh.
Ooh. But then the real growth and progress and freedom is there are infinite ways.
So
And
many.
there's no right or wrong way as long
Right.
as doing it from a position of love and not, but again, it's that expansion, that range of possibility, like, ooh, I could. And the answer is yes, you could. All those things. Now let's see which one seems juiciest to you. Choose that, do it, see what happens. The other monkey that jumps in is, oh, I should know how something's gonna work out before I try it, or I should have it all figured out
Oh,
before I begin. Honestly, that is just the death knell of living. And I've learned this in my work with the amazing coach mentor whom I've been working with, Rick Tamlin, and his bigger game philosophy. But basically, and so I want to really credit Rick with this. It's a shift to, oh, don't try and figure it all out. It's impossible. You never can. Um, Go towards it, do something, and then in the discovery will become the next knowing. Makes all
yes.
the difference. And that's in that land of risking for sure.
Wow. What a moment. That reminded me of the moment that I told you, Lynn, I'm publishing this book on my own. I don't have a publisher. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if I'm marketing it right. And you said, spaghetti against the wall, Donna. Just keep trying things. I
Yeah.
think it looks great.
Yeah. There is no right. Like that is just an illusion.
Well, there are so many right answers. And this is a
Yeah.
really great stance to take on the world that there's more than one right answer. And I learned this when I worked for the Center for Creative Leadership. Can't say that anymore, where we met. Um, there are so many brilliant program, designers, all these PhDs in leadership, and every single one of them would design something differently, and every answer was right. They're just
Absolutely.
different. Yeah.
So when
Oh,
we are in that free space of there are many ways and there are many
yeah.
possibilities, now let's just go towards the one that has the greatest resonance,
Right.
that's juiciest to me. And the other thing I just want to say here, Donna, to write directly to your viewers is this is this life that we are living as a gift. There's no guarantee for tomorrow. None of us have it. So let's just like really live it today. Let's just like really go for it.
Live
And if
it.
the other thing is, I want to chase that with, and if the world thinks it's a little crazy, that's just fine. You know,
Oh,
the world is rarely awakened by people doing the same old, same old. And sometimes the world will even be a little bit like, whoa, I don't know what's going to happen. And it's just fine. It's just fine for all of that to be the case. And you're going forward into your own beautiful, juicy life.
it's so true.
Yeah.
So, on that note, I want to just encourage everyone to live crazy as usual and red hot. And check the show notes for all the details on how to get Lynn's book and how to learn more about her coaching practice. Thank you, Lynn, so much.